Hello everybody, and welcome back to the next episode in this series. And this is just a little mini episode because I remembered that I forgot to mention and go over some stuff in the last episode when we made the items that we can just go to our content drawer, right click, create. Now how to actually use these with our inventory, well that's the step that I forgot to tell you guys about in the last episode. I want you guys to go to Tools, New C++ class, and Act component. This is going to be an item component base. That's going to be our inventory plugin components. Make that public, and this is where we're going to essentially wrap around that object to be able to add it to any item or NPC or whatever that we need it to. But also we can do something really cool here that I wanted to showcase. Is we can actually create unique objects rather easily. So we'll just need one new function at the top here, just new blueprint pure, and it's going to be item, and it's going to be a new inventory base, and it's going to be to get an item, and this is going to be a const function. Just return item for now. Down here we're going to add in three U properties, sorry. First one's going to be the item, second one could be another item that we're going to call, this is going to be instance item. Just one final U property at the bottom to say, which is a boolean to say use instance item, which we're going to set to true for now. Very important, in the instance item we are going to first put in instance as a specifier, and in the get item function here we're just going to return the use instance item, and if we are, then return instance item. If not, then return this. Now this can get a little confusing as to, well, which one are we going to be using at a first glance. To help us figure that out, we can add a new meta specifier to say, which is going to have an edit condition of if we're not using instance item, and we can also make it just that little bit clearer by saying edit condition hides. Now let's just copy this and put it down here and get rid of the not in front of there. And what this should do now is that whenever we are using the instance item, it will instance a new item for us using the object base here, and yeah, this should be good. Now this is of course using the base class for the item, rather than we can select a parent class, but I just wanted to show you guys what you can do with this system or component, and I'll let you guys run rampant and do whatever you need to do with this information. It's very cool though, it's very useful what this is going to do. I wish I knew this when I was starting to try and escape tutorial, how it would have made my life so much easier. So let's just wait for this to initialize. Now I did go ahead and test this with another actor, so you'll probably want to add a new test item actor. Like I have in my level. Test item 1, and as you can see here I've got all this stuff here. Let's just add an item component base, and as you can see here, if we're using an instance item we can actually select, we can select our parent class, nice. If we select our blueprint test class there, we can actually set up our own information just like this, and if we go to here we can set up differently like this, and if we disable this it will hide that, and it will allow us to select an instance of our inventory item. So if we go to our inventory and select this, we can just drag it into there like that. Perfect. Now what we can do is if we just get item, inventory, what? Get. Oh yeah, it's not connected there. Drag this out, hold control, and it automatically gets getter, get item. Remember to use the function, not the. We should probably get rid of this, to be fair, so we don't get confused as to which one we're going to be using. There we go. On interact, add that item, and on use, test use item. There we go. Now, when we interact with this and then use the item, we shouldn't get this. But rather, if we go to here and here, let's go to our new blueprint here, and on use, let's just print a string. I know it's not going to work because we still need to set that up, but it should print out something to say can't do this with this item class here. So let's press play, all the way over here. Press F, interact with item. If we were to now go to our player controller, because if I remember correctly, we're in standalone mode here, not client or server, so it's not going to print out those messages. Let's go to here, and the first index, no. Damn. Let's have a look as to why this is not working. Set a breakpoint, just to make sure it's working. Why is it printing that out? There we go. Add item, and it's returning the correct item. Let's press play. Print. Definitely is giving it one component, yeah. Print text, and let's just return this. Let's also go to the inventory component. Plugins, just make sure that this is set up correctly. It is. I know why it's not working. It's because we set the stack size to 1. Let's set that to 1. It was 0. Let's set that to 1, and now let's try it. And that's returning false still. Why is it returning false? Let's go to our inventory. We should have authority. So let's add some logging here. This was supposed to be a quick episode. Oh, I know why. This can be added to inventory. Let's have a look at that on the parent class, or rather on here. Yep. Parent class, if we overwrite, can be added and return true. And let's do the same for the can be used, can be removed. I'll save. I really should make that default to true, but yeah. Press play, and we getting a return value of true at last. Now if we go to a first person player controller and go to the first index, there we have it. We have our object now. Let's just quickly discuss why we like this. If we go back to our initial system design, we want this because this separates the item in the inventory from the actor representation, so we can safely unload this actor, or we can destroy it entirely, and we can still use the item, we can still interact with it. It's not going to return invalid data, and that's exactly what we want. Second reason, an actor is quite heavy in the inventory. It's quite if we want to access it, then there's a lot of information that we don't need. We don't need to know this actor's location. We don't need to know its channels or its connection, if it has authority or not. We just need to know, well, what we've defined in the interface. If we go back to it, we just need to know can it be used, can it be added, can it be removed, what's the max stack size, item name, and the description. That's all we need to know from it. And also, what do we do when we use it? And that is pretty much it. And to keep that as lightweight as we possibly can, we use an object instead. And hopefully that will make sense to you guys. I'm actually going to keep the logs here. What I might also do, since this is quite a short tutorial, is also show you how to make your own logging as well. So let's go to our startup module code here. This is where I usually like to put it. I'm just going to put declare log category extern, and I'm going to call it log inventory plugin. Now, yeah, so that's the runtime verbosity, and this is the compile time verbosity. So anything above this, so log, it goes in the order of fatal, error, warning, display, log, and then I think it's verbose and very verbose. So anything below log, so verbose and very verbose, will not get printed. And all just basically means that everything will get compiled into the final executable. So if you want to change the level of logging that you've got, this will be where you put it. So if you only want to get it so that it'll only display warnings, then just set this to warning and it will filter it out for you. If you only want it to compile to include warnings, then do that. But I like to keep in mind a log just at the base, and then we can always increase or decrease that depending on how much we need later on. And then we go to the C++ file, and then we define log category with the same name here. Let's go to our inventory component base. Do not forget to include this in the includes. So include, and we need inventory plugin.h, and let's go back to it and copy the name of this. And let's go through our logs that we've got so far and just add the thing. And turn down here. Now remember, you're not always, this could be so that when you play test this with friends or something, they can send you this log file and then you can look through this and try to figure out what exactly is going wrong. So, yeah. And just do the rest of that. I'm not going to go through this entire thing because it's already been 5 minutes since I started doing this, and I think this is quite boring for a lot of people. But basically just go through the rest of this and add it in, and you will thank yourselves later on. And yeah, that's about it for this episode. Just thought I'd hop in with a quick mini one, just to let you guys know about the item component, the things that we were doing there with this. So make sure, if you want to do this with your own stuff, make sure that this is set to instanced, and if you go to here, you do need to add in the class to say edit inline new as well. Don't forget that. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome back to the next episode. In this episode we'll be going over adding some custom object channels for our collision, and yeah, let's begin. So why are we doing this? Well, if we go to our play and click on one of these, it's not slow, but what we can gather is that, well, this item here, if we look at its collision, it's being set to overlap or block all of these channels, but it's set to physics active, which is not what we need for this, really. Go to our first person blueprint for our first person character. This is what's more causing the problem that I want to solve today. It's this capsule here. So if we go all the way down and we go to our collision preset, it's overlapping with all of these. Now, this is fine as long as we keep the scene simple and it doesn't overlap with a lot of things at once. If it is, which we are aiming to do, if it's going to overlap with a lot of things, especially as the scene gets more dense, if we're trying to fill it with objects or characters or things with complex collisions, this is going to get a lot more troublesome. It can cause lag spikes as when you're rotating this component here, the camera, sorry, as you're rotating this around, this transform has to update as well, and as it updates it's going to have to do the overlaps every time that you rotate it or move the camera, so it can get quite worrisome for your CPU and your frame rate. So how do we fix this? Well, we just add in a new object type. So let's go to Edit, Project Settings, and go all the way to Collision here, and you have Object Channels. Let's create a new object channel, which we're going to call, let's call it Interact. And the default response should be, well, let's think, the object type, let's go with block. Yes. Now if we exit out of here, and our capsule, instead of overlapping all, it's going to have a custom collision preset. We're going to ignore everything except for Interact, which it will overlap. Compile this, save this, go back to our item, and in here we're going to set the collision preset to custom, and we're going to set the object type here. Hang on, do we need to compile this again? There we go, Interact at the bottom there. And we want this to block everything. Yes. Yes, we don't need this to overlap with the capsule, we just need it to be the right object type. So let's compile, save this as well, and let's go back to here, and we should now, when we interact with this, still have it. If we interact with this, shouldn't interact with anything. If we interact with this, it shouldn't interact with it because it's set to the wrong object type. So interact with none. Perfect. So you can't find it. So let's change that for our other test item here real quick, and then we're pretty much done for this episode. Quite a quick one, I would say. So let's I'll save and come back and interact with this item. There we go. Perfect. Nice, quick, easy. Yeah. That's how you do custom object channels, and it'll help optimize your project, especially as things get bigger, because now that capsule is only ever going to do the overlap check, or I should really say spatial query, for objects of that same type. It's going to ignore everything else, which is exactly what you want. You want it to only ever overlap with objects which you know is going to either have an item or it needs to know about in some capacity. And this way, you're going to save on performance, you're going to save on memory space as well a little bit, at least in my experiments. And yeah, if you want to see more videos like this, please leave a comment down below, like, subscribe. If you want to have the full source code available, it's available on my Patreon, on my Gumroad, and if you want to help support the channel, you can purchase the plugin on the marketplace as well. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. See you guys in the next episode. Bye.